everybody, this is Methlokaiju here, and today, awesome day. It's the 25th of February. What does that mean? Trailer! Yes, new Godzilla 2014 trailer was put out at 10 p.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. If you're in Mountain time, then you can figure out what time that is supposed to be in your time if you're in Mountain time. And yes, we got the official trailer. This is the official trailer. This is another teaser trailer. And it looks like the other one is in fact a teaser trailer. And this is the main trailer. And this is like so far the best trailers of all time. It's way better than Amazing Spider-Man 2 one. It's better than the X-Men Days of Future Past. It's better than Jupiter Ascending. It's better than any trailer in the history of trailers. Yes, I cannot wait. I'm gonna review today. Yes, I'm gonna review today. So yeah, I'm gonna put the noise here, and it sounds very awesome. So, I'm gonna put a link for the trailer because just type in Godzilla, and most likely it'll be there. Let me just check if you already type in Godzilla and it'll already be there. Maybe it's already the most famous thing in the universe. Maybe Godzilla. Yeah, it's right there. This is a teaser trailer and the official main trailer. So they're already there. So I don't need to give you a link. So yes, very awesome. So let's get into the review. So yeah, and then later I'll give my thoughts. So it first starts off with this how the end of the teaser trailer, the title for Godzilla was kind of like the Halo jump, except it's for Warner Brothers and Legendaries. It's the two logos.
Talk to somebody in charge.
And then it's like the Bryan Cranston speech in the background. Even there's some a little bit more bonus.
You are not fooling anybody when you say.
And then there's a giant humongous traffic jam, cause there's an airplane that actually crashed into the streets. Pretty cool.
That what happened was a natural disaster.
And then right here looks awesome. We see a view of a person, and then in the bottom there's some children running, and they're going to the school bus or something. And then in the background you see this whole entire city being destroyed.
You're lying.
And all the kids are running away and scared.
It wasn't an earthquake. It wasn't a typhoon.
And then we see the same part from the teaser trailer where Bryan Cranston running through the opposite direction.
Because what's really happening.
And then we see this part with some trucks, army trucks, and then next to them are some army helicopters, and they're going inside this hole. So it looks like they are very secretive, very secretive. And then right here we see a destroyed city. It's daylight, so it's not gonna be like Pacific Rim where some of the battles and when Godzilla comes in are completely dark. Some of the parts might be daytime, but the special effects and all this, it looks super awesome. So yeah, we see helicopters flying around, destroy buildings. And then we see the Statue of Liberty being destroyed. I believe they got this maybe from Cloverfield maybe. But yeah, it looks like this movie is also gonna take place in New York. And also I saw this other place that kind of looks like Los Angeles. So this might be a, worldwide or maybe just America. But it's going to be very awesome. So far, it's very awesome. And in the background, you see the destroyed cities and helicopters flying in. And actually, Lady Liberty's hands and a little bit of her face is kind of cut off.
And it is going to send us back to the Stone Age.
And then we see Bryan Cranston. It kind of looks like he's in jail, because there's this mirror, maybe in front of him. And then in the background, there's some boxes. And then he's saying, what he just said right now. And then we see this part of a boat. I believe Bryan Cranston is in the scene. There's some two army workers or something. And also Bryan Cranston is in the middle. And then a giant wave comes up. There's some a battleship. But the wave is humongous compared to the battleship. The battleship is puny compared to the wave. It's super giant, and Godzilla's gonna come in this part. And then that's when we see the part with the Honolulu parts. There's actually people running, but it's in a view of a car. There's people running, and that's when the ocean is coming by, and then it looks like all the people are drowned now, I guess. And then we get this creepy sound from the 2001 Space Odyssey, and we see some army guys in this forest or something.
1954.
And then we hear Serizawa right there. And it looks like right here there's this bomb or something but it's like with all this like sticky goo. So maybe this might be part of the Muto or something. And then like, you know, one of the army workers takes off the goo a little bit, and then there's like the atomic signal, the atomic sign.
We awakened something.
And then Serizawa's, I believe, is showing like maybe he works on something, and he's showing this like screen of what happened in the past, and in the background there's a picture of Godzilla's spikes coming out.
There's nuclear tests.
I believe the one who's saying that is actually Sally Hawkins, maybe. And then there's this like bomb right here, and it says Godzilla with an X. And there's a bomb, yeah. And then right here, whoa, Godzilla is humongous. We see Godzilla's spikes rising up from the ocean, but his spikes, whoa, there's actually an island right next to it, and like half his body is like the size of that whole entire island in the background. He's gonna be humongous. We then gotta see his face, so.
No tests.
I believe that's Sally Hawkins talking, maybe. And then there's a bomb right here. Oh, darn, I just went all the way back. Don't worry, I can just come right here. It didn't work.
They were trying to kill it.
And then right here, it's pretty interesting because, you know, Sally Hawkins, from what I believe is Sally Hawkins, there's a bomb scene. But Sally Hawkins says that there's nuclear tests. But Serizawa says that he thinks that they actually deployed those bombs in 1954 before they can defeat the monster. And then this is this summer. And then we see this train that's going inside a tunnel with like some, maybe 2 missiles or something. And then it's kind of like a forest, and in the background of the forest there's like fire. Pretty cool. And then we see Bryan Cranston and Aaron Taylor Johnson, which looks like a kind of like that place in China. I mean, not China, Japan, where it's all obliterated. And then the speech in the backgrounds again.
You have no idea what.
And then we actually see a little bit of Godzilla's tail like hitting a building, and the building is like being demolished. And then that's when the army workers, like, it's kind of, I'm not sure if it's a forest or something. Sorry if you hear that, it's just some, you know, random people. But yeah, just outside, since the balcony is open. But anyways, so then you see this part, it kind of looks like a bomb or missile or something. And it kind of looks like a stinger. I don't know what it is, but it looks like a real life form, maybe a Muto creature or something. But the endpoints, it kind of looks like a claw. Or not like a missile that literally penetrated through the claw. So that's pretty cool. But I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to be. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe a tail or something. I don't know. And then we see Serizawa, what he looks like. Maybe he's in a battleship, or maybe a tank, or maybe just a laboratory. And he's just looking at the screen or whatever.
Can you kill it?
And that's when you see Aaron Taylor Johnson, and he says, "Can you kill it?" And then these army workers are like shooting something in the sky. And I believe there was this like very quick like scene with these like 2 spikes, kind of, but it didn't look like Godzilla. So maybe this is the winged Muto, maybe I don't know. And I did not notice that, but instead it says toilet. I did not notice that. So yeah, that thing, which I believe is a flying Muto, I mean winged Muto, kind of resembles the winged Muto because it looks more like a life form than just a regular non-living thing. And it also has like spikes, like a tail, which is pretty cool. And then we see a little bit of the Halo jump scene where they're going down. And then we see a little bit more of an extended clip of Bryan Cranston crying because of Julia Binoche. You know, the doors are closing. Looks like he's very upset. And then right here, Serizawa, Sally Hawkins over here, and this other random person. Not exactly sure that's supposed to be. And they're like in this cabin or something. And there's like skeletons around, which is pretty awesome, pretty cool.
Man is thinking nature is in our control.
And then right here, this scene with it looks like some soldiers looking up. This is the San Francisco Bridge, I can tell. This is San Francisco, I can tell, because the Golden Gate Bridge is destroyed, and over there. And then that's when like these like jets are like flying from the sky, and they're falling in the ocean. I don't know what's causing this. Maybe it's a flying Muto again. Pretty weird, but pretty interesting.
Not the other way around.
And then we see about 4, I believe that's 4, people shooting flares at something. And then they're shooting it at something, which could be Godzilla or something else, because it has more like a reddish texture. So I'm not exactly sure, but these are flares. So they don't do anything. And then right here, it's a very quick scene. Right here we see a little clip of a Muto. It looks like a Muto arm, like stomping, like literally right in front of some soldiers. And if this is literally the Muto arm, then the Mutos are not small creatures. They're humongous creatures. The foot itself from this pan is maybe like 7 of these soldiers. Pretty tall. And then that's when we see some soldiers and also pedestrians who are looking up. Maybe they're pulling a bomb or something. But it looks like the city is like all fine. So, and then we see Aaron Taylor Johnson in the train looking. And then, you know, that scene from the teaser trailer where the train gets destroyed. And then, ooh, this scene looks very nice. It's actually Aaron Taylor Johnson running, and then the train in the background looks like it's completely burned up. And then these like spikes or something come through and like slice the train tracks, and Aaron Taylor Johnson had to jump. So I'm not exactly sure this is spikes of Godzilla. Maybe it's a Muto creature, but I think it's Godzilla spikes, and it looks very awesome. And then, you know, Aaron Taylor Johnson has to jump off because of the spikes going through. Pretty cool. And also in the background, you hear the viral video, Godzilla roar. And then we see this helicopter that's burned up, and it's, you know, fall in the ocean. Maybe, you know, it's just going to fall. And then right here with this scene with Elizabeth Olsen getting her son. And then meanwhile, there's some soldiers running away. And Elizabeth Olsen is looking at the camera in terror. And then there's some like people like running, you know, from the medics. And then this awesome scene where we see Godzilla's face in a front view, like a human perspective. Very awesome. You actually see Godzilla. He looks very realistic and very creepy as well, and very realistic as well. I think I already said that. But you see a little bit of spikes in his tongue. You know, it looks like a very epic Godzilla that is very scary. You know, he's roaring, and then meanwhile there's some doors that are closing in front of his face. And then the Godzilla titles. Ooh, this is an epic trailer. Very, very epic. This is like, oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. How much would I give this trailer out of 10? Maybe infinity out of 10. It doesn't exist, then 10 out of 10. This is like a super good trailer. Way better than Amazing Spider-Man 2 trailer. Way better than the, you know, Transcendence trailer, whatever it's called. And more than Gravity. And more than, you know, anything of that. It's way better than other trailers. It's the king of all trailers. And it's the king of the monsters. So from what we can see this, it looks like this might be a not only a San Francisco attack and Honolulu, or I mean, it doesn't have to be in Honolulu, but it's like Hawaii. There's some parts with the New York, because you see the Statue of Liberty. Maybe some parts of Los Angeles, because it kind of looks like Los Angeles a little bit. And then, you know, and then it looks like there's some part of Japan. So it looks like this is going to be a world event. From what we can hear, is that maybe these soldiers actually created this beast from, you know, the speech in the background. And also from those, like, army tanks and flying helicopters that are going inside this hole in a mountain. So it looks like, you know, the Muto Organization, which could probably be the Muto Organization, is actually, you know, very secretive. They're even hiding on a mountain because there's a hole in a mountain. Pretty cool. And also, the scene with the bomb, Sally Hawkins, from what I think is Sally Hawkins. I think Sally Hawkins is British, so I think that's Sally Hawkins, but she says that the bombs were actually test bombs, but then that's when Serizawa, or Ken Watanabe, or Ken Watanabe, whatever you want to call him. I think it's Ken Watanabe. But anyway, and then he mentions that the real truth is because they actually wanted to kill him in 1954. So that means Godzilla was actually awakened, because he even mentioned that Godzilla was actually awakened. He said, in 1954, we awakened something. That means Godzilla already existed. So is this a possibility of an old ancient creature that already lived like a bunch of years ago or whatever, and then, you know, was in a permanent state of, you know, hibernation, or maybe just resting, or maybe, you know, I don't know, something happened to it, but then, you know, with all these bombs and all this, it created him and made him more strong or something. You know, we really don't know, but that's a very interesting scene, very interesting, because, you know, it says that they actually awakened him, and the bombs in 1954 were not test bombs. They were actually meant to actually stop him, which is actually better because, you know, for Japan, if they actually say that America shooted like bombs at Japan, then it will kind of contradict the Japanese people, and, you know, it will kind of get them angry, I guess you can say, because, you know, the whole war, and, you know, for right now we're done with the war with Japan, so, you know, at least it's a good take for it to make it more of a, you know, public story, because, you know, for making a Godzilla movie and releasing like worldwide, it's very hard because you have all these places who actually, you know, fought America in the war, as well as America fighting the other people and shooting bombs and all that. And, you know, Godzilla's origin was with bombs. So, you know, it looks like Gareth Edwards did a good take. He changed it, but it's a good take. So maybe this Godzilla is actually an ancient creature. And also the Muto creature look like they're going to be giants. You know, because we see one of the foots. And it looks like these are going to be insectoids. They're not going to be, you know, like flying. I mean, not flying, like bipedal animals. It looks like they're going to be more like insectoids, but they look very big. But they look like small compared to Godzilla, because whenever Godzilla is destroying that building with like barely like maybe 1/8 of his tail, he's already destroying the building. Maybe 1/4 of his tail is actually destroying the building. And with the Muto creature, the leg comes in right in front of the soldiers, and it looks like 7 soldiers can make that. And for the tail of Godzilla, it looks like maybe around, you know, 30 people can make his, like, 1/4 of his tail. So it looks like these Muto's creatures are going to be pretty small, but they're going to be giant compared to humans. And also the last scene with Godzilla roaring on the, like, the door closing, I think that's connected with the scene with Elizabeth Olsen holding her son. Because, you know, in the background you kind of see, like, you can, like, doors open or something. So maybe all these medics and all that, and the armies who are the army troopers or whatever who want to save all the people, and also Elizabeth Olsen who wants to save people, you know, because she's a medic, I believe. So maybe they close the door right in front of Godzilla, even though eventually they're going to be terminated. And also Bryan Cranston looks like he's like in jail or something. Maybe he found out about the you know, Muto organization and then told everybody about the Muto organization or something. Maybe, because, you know, this is like Muto organization kind of like Area 51, because all these catastrophes, like for example the towers, like all of a sudden that fall and that they're already destroyed, and also the plane that just crashed in the middle of a giant, you know, traffic, and it created a giant traffic jam, and, you know, all this chaotic stuff. People like the, you know, maybe the president, maybe the Muto organization, which could work for the president, are mentioning these are just, you know, natural disasters, but Bryan Cranston doesn't believe that. Maybe he saw a sighting of Godzilla, which probably, yeah, because, you know, we saw that scene with him crying with Juliette Binoche. So, you know, it's pretty interesting, very, very interesting. So, you know, maybe he already saw Godzilla, and maybe he wants to mention to the public, but then that's when they, you know, they didn't want him to say anything, so then maybe they just kept him inside a door. Because we saw this part with him, like, speaking, and he's very angry, but, like, there's a mirror right in front of his face, as well as some boxes, so maybe he's in jail or something. You know, I really don't know. Maybe he's talking to somebody. And I don't think this is Serizawa, because it looks like Serizawa is not the one who, you know, threw the bombs or whatever. Nothing of that. Looks like it was somebody else who threw the bombs. You know, army wanted to kill this giant monster, so they threw bombs. It looks like it was not good at all. Not good at all. You know, it wasn't, you know, it didn't, like, it was futile. It didn't work, like, at all. So, you know, Godzilla is now in time. And, yeah, and he's destroying stuff, as well as the Muto. We saw a little bit glimpse of the Muto. Not too much, but, you know, it's still, you know, it's still alright. It's still alright. And also, there were some scenes from the teaser trailer, but not too much. But overall, very awesome trailer. Really loved it. My favorite parts were the beginning, middle, and in the middle of the, you know, more like everything. Everything, I love it. Even though there's some parts with Blackstream, you know, I still love it. It's an awesome trailer. This is the official trailer. Hopefully, maybe we get a official trailer number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Even though that's, I don't think number 5, but at least maybe another trailer or something. Maybe by April or something. I don't know, but So yeah, this is the end for this video. Subscribe, like, and comment. This is my review and my thoughts of the new Godzilla 2014 trailer. Thank you, legendary Warner Brothers. This is epic, very epic trailer. Way better than the beginning one. Way better. So yeah, this is the end for this video. As I said, subscribe, like, and comment. Tell me in the comments below what is your favorite part of the trailer, and did you even enjoy it? I enjoyed it a bunch. Let this have like 1,000 views, because right now it already has around. Wait, let me just restart a page, because I want to check how many views this has, because this can actually determine the box. Whoa, it has 539,750. So that's a bunch for just some hours. So yeah. But yeah, this is the end for this video. As I said, this is Methlokaiju signing out.